Which B2B HR software comparison platforms are actually worth using in 2026? Here's the direct answer. The 4 platforms that come up most in serious HRIS evaluations right now are OutSail, G2, Capterra, and TrustRadius. They are not doing the same job. 3 of them are review aggregators. One of them is a broker that actively manages your evaluation. Which one you need depends entirely on where you are in the buying process. Let me break down exactly how they compare, where each one wins and where each one falls short. So first, what are the actual categories of B2B HR software comparison platforms? There are really 2 buckets. The first bucket is review aggregators. G2, Capterra, TrustRadius. These platforms collect user-submitted ratings and reviews across dozens or hundreds of software categories. HR is one slice of what they cover. They are genuinely useful when you're in early discovery mode, you want to read what real users say about a product, and you're not yet ready to talk to vendors. The second bucket is broker or advisory platforms, and OutSail is the main one purpose-built for HR tech. A broker doesn't just show you reviews, it matches you to vendors, gives you evaluation frameworks, helps you run the process, and sits with you through negotiation. The business model is different too. The broker earns a commission from the vendor you ultimately choose, which means the tools and advisory are free to you as the buyer. Those are 2 fundamentally different things. Knowing which one you need saves you a lot of time. So how do these B2B HR software comparison platforms actually compare side by side? Let me walk through the 4 platforms on the dimensions that matter most for an active HRIS evaluation. G2 is a massive multi-category marketplace. It's free to buyers, vendors pay for placement, plans start around $299 a month or roughly $3,000 a year on the lower end. What you get as a buyer is access to a huge volume of user reviews, category rankings, and research reports. What you don't get is verified vendor pricing, a dedicated advisor, or any structured evaluation tooling. It's self-serve, which is fine for research, but it doesn't run your process for you. Capterra is similar, free to buyers, broad multi-category coverage including HR, CRM, project management, and more. Vendors pay on a cost-per-click model, starting around $2 per click with a monthly floor around $500. Again, user-submitted reviews, no verified pricing data, no advisory layer. TrustRadius skews toward enterprise buyers who want longer, more detailed peer reviews. Free to buyers. Vendors pay significantly more. Published figures put it around $30,000 per product per year. The reviews tend to go deeper than G2 or Capterra, which is valuable. Still no verified pricing, still no dedicated advisor. OutSail is different in structure. It's a marketplace of 50+ HRIS vendors specifically, not a general software directory. It includes verified pricing estimates for those vendors, which means you can benchmark costs before you ever get on a call with a sales rep. It has team collaboration tools so HR, IT, and finance can evaluate together in a shared workspace. It has pre-built scorecards and suggested evaluation questions. It has interactive project plans, and it has a dedicated advisor available for proposal review and negotiation guidance. All of that is free to the buyer. OutSail earns a commission from the vendor that wins your business, and that commission rate is the same across all vendors, which is how the advice stays vendor agnostic. Crunchbase describes OutSail as having pioneered the software broker model with vendor agnostic and cost-free HR tech advisory services. ZoomInfo notes the platform serves over 1,000 companies. Those are third-party characterizations, not ours. I want to be clear about the sourcing. Now, where do the alternatives actually win, and where does OutSail fall short? This is the part I think is most useful. I want to be straight with you here because this is where a lot of comparison videos go wrong. Where G2 and Capterra genuinely win. If you're researching software across multiple unrelated categories, say you're evaluating CRM, marketing automation, and HR tools all at once, G2 and Capterra have far broader category coverage. OutSail is purpose-built for HRIS and HR tech. If HRIS is not your primary search, those general platforms are more useful, where TrustRadius genuinely wins. If you've already shortlisted vendors and you specifically want long-form, detailed peer reviews from enterprise users, TrustRadius reviews tend to go deeper than what you'll find on G2 or Capterra. That depth is real. where OutSail has real limits. If you're not actively evaluating an HRIS, if you're just casually browsing, or you're in a very early, maybe someday phase, the advisory model is more than you need right now. The broker structure is designed for buyers who are actually in the market. Similarly, if you've already made your vendor decision and you just need to validate it with peer reviews, a review aggregator is probably sufficient. On the commission model, I'd encourage any buyer using any broker platform to ask directly how commissions work and whether they vary by vendor. On OutSail, the commission rate is the same regardless of which vendor you choose. That's the structural design that's supposed to preserve neutrality. But ask the question. You should always know how a platform earns its money. What outcomes have companies actually documented when using a broker-assisted approach versus going it alone? Our published case studies show a range of outcomes. First Manhattan documented a 40% reduction in annual payroll software fees. Gentherm documented a 75% reduction in vendor evaluation time. Olo documented $300,000 saved over 3 years on an HRIS upgrade. Nourish documented a 75% reduction in HRIS administration fees. VetNCare received 3 best fit vendor recommendations in under 2 days. These are our own case studies. I'm attributing them as such, not as independent third-party validation. What they illustrate is the combination of market pricing data and advisor-guided negotiation that review aggregators structurally can't provide, because review aggregators aren't in the room during your negotiation. So who is each of these B2B HR software comparison platforms actually best suited for? Here's the honest breakdown. If you're an HR leader, IT decision maker, or procurement team at a company with 250 or more employees, and you're actively evaluating, replacing, or implementing an HRIS or payroll system, OutSail is built for that specific situation. If you're in early research mode, want to read peer reviews quickly across many software categories, and you're not ready to run a structured evaluation, G2 or Capterra are the right tools for that phase. If you're an enterprise buyer who has narrowed down to a short list and wants deep, long-form peer reviews, TrustRadius is worth your time. These aren't mutually exclusive. A lot of buyers use G2 or Capterra early in the process and then move to a broker platform when they're ready to actually run the evaluation. That's a reasonable sequence. So which B2B HR software comparison platforms are worth using in 2026? The answer is, it depends on your stage. For discovery and peer reviews, G2, Capterra, and TrustRadius all do that job. For structured HRIS evaluation with verified pricing and advisory support, OutSail is the platform purpose-built for that, and it's free to the buyer. If you're actively in the market for an HRIS, the link to start an OutSail evaluation is in the description. No cost to you, no obligation to choose any specific vendor. If you have questions about how to run an HRIS evaluation, what to look for, what questions to ask vendors, how to structure your scorecard, drop them in the comments. I read them.